What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy, and today we're back with another deck profile, continuing our Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage. So if you guys haven't seen, we actually upload a testing rounds video with this deck in it, if you guys want to see how it looks in action. So yeah, today we're going to be taking a look at Solgaleo GX. This is probably one of the most hyped cards from the set, and for pretty good reason. It's definitely a very strong attacker, and that's what we were choosing to build a deck around this time. And as usual, if you guys haven't seen our testing rounds videos before, these lists are usually just kind of rough starting points to start building upon, so just keep that in mind as you're watching this video. So yeah, let's just get into it. Solgaleo GX is the main attacker, so we are going to run 4 Cosmog. It's just the basic form. His attack is draw a card, so nothing special. And same thing for Cosmo, we're running 2 of those guys as well. Its attack lets you, I believe, switch with one of your bench Pokemon. So these guys really don't do too much. We're basically just playing them just because we need to get out our Solgaleos. So he is going to be the main attacker of the deck. Solgaleo GX, like I said, one of the most hyped cards from Sun and Moon. It's one of these new GX cards, so if you guys aren't familiar with the GX mechanic, it's kind of like the EXs that you're used to, but they can now be evolution Pokemon. So like Solgaleo is a stage 2. It's not a basic like the EXs. But they also have a GX move that you can only use once per game. And that's kind of the big difference, I think, between GXs and the old EXs. But Solgaleo GX, so first of all, 250 hit points, absolute beast of a card. This is tied for the most hit points in the game with Wailord. So he's pretty tanky. If you're going against Volcanion, that's probably the only thing that's going to knock this guy out in one hit. And speaking of which, he is weak to fire, so Volcanion could be a problem. So you might have to tech against it or something like that, which we actually do in this list. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, so its ability is Ultra Road, I believe it's called, and it's literally just switch. You switch with any of your Pokemon. And that is just so strong. You don't have to run switching cards like Switch, Escape Rope, Floatstone. You might have to if you run into like a Garbodor deck or something like that, but any other time you can just kind of easily manipulate your board and choose who you want in the active spot. And it's such a simple ability, but it's so strong too. Especially since Solgaleo has such a giant retreat cost. So then his main attack we're going to be using is Sunsteel Strike. For 2 metal and a colorless, it does 230, and then you discard all energy attached to Solgaleo GX. So 230, you're one-shotting almost everything that's currently popular in the game. If these GX cards become a little bit popular, you might not one-shot stuff, but as of right now, you're one-shotting pretty much all of the most popular stuff, including Megas in the game. So you discard all your energy. Probably sounds a little clunky. How do you keep attacking with this guy throughout the course of a game? And that's going to be partially thanks to its GX move. I believe it's Soul Burst GX, but you get to search your deck for 5 energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. And that is just such a crazy move, especially because you don't have to get basic energies. You can get any energies, and that's kind of what makes this such a versatile card as well. So that means you can get things like Double Dragon energy, Double Colorless, Rainbow energy. And so that really makes, like I said, Solgaleo very flexible and versatile. And hopefully we'll see players do all sorts of crazy things to abuse this attack. So yeah, that's how we are going to kind of set up our board. So between that attack and then your manual attachments every turn, you should have enough energy to stream Sunsteel Strike throughout the course of a game. So we're also playing 2 Lunala GX. This is going to be the other card that Cosmog can evolve into. It's the other mascot from the set. And they actually have pretty good synergy, these Solgaleos and Lunalas. So Lunala GX, 250 hit points, which is equally as monstrous as Solgaleo. But we're mainly playing this for its ability Psychic Transfer. As often as you like during your turn, you can move any psychic energy around your board in any way that you want. So we've seen this ability before with things like Klinklang, Hydreigon, Aromatisse. This has historically always been a very strong type of ability. And so it's really nice because we can accelerate all of this energy on our board with Soul Burst GX. And then we can just use Sunsteel Strike, discard all of our energy, then move the rest of the energy that we had accelerated onto Solgaleo to attack again on the next turn. So that's what we're mainly using this for. Its attack is somewhat useful. So Moongeist Beam for 120, 4 Psychic Energy, which actually is a really awkward attack cost. But 120 and your opponent can't heal on the next turn. And so the reason this attack might come into play is for non-GX and non-EX decks. To be honest, I don't think you have enough energy to take 6 prizes against something like a Greninja deck, or a deck that just runs a bunch of 1 prize attackers. So Galio is definitely at its best when it can take big 1-hit knockouts on 2 prize attackers. So Lunala is pretty important, I think, because in these types of non-EX and non-GX matchups, you have an attack that doesn't discard your energy. And it's also kind of useful because I feel like there's going to be a lot of decks after Sun and Moon that can abuse Max Potion, and the attack prevents your opponent from healing. So that could come into play as well. And even Greninja decks currently, they play Max Potion. So if you attack a Greninja, they can't heal. So they're going to get knocked out on your next turn when you attack again. And it does have a GX move. It's actually a pretty strong move, but it probably won't see play in this particular deck. So for 3 Psychic, you knock out a basic Pokemon on your opponent's field other than a GX. So that's really strong because you can knock out EXs automatically and just get an instant 2 prizes. But really we want to be using Soul Burst GX. That's the GX move we want to use because you can only use 1 in the entire game. So that's going to be the one of choice in most cases. But yeah, those are going to be pretty much how we're going to be attacking. And the only other Pokemon we're going to play in this list is for Talonflame. So a couple reasons for Talonflame. Solgaleo really doesn't need too much to get set up. Between Solgaleo and Lunala, you're pretty self-sufficient. You can kind of carry yourself through a game. But Solgaleo definitely needs some sort of support. And so that's why we're playing Talonflame. It has that awesome ability, Gale Wings. If you open with it in your opening hand, you can put it as your active Pokemon to start the game with, which is so strong because you can start off with a Stage 2 immediately on the first turn of the game. So why Talonflame? And that's for its attack Aero Blitz. For a colorless, it is 40, and you search your deck for any 2 cards and put them into your hand. So we've seen this be strong in the past with Greninja. So if you guys are familiar with Greninja, you already know how good this card is. But the attack is actually really good for several different reasons. First of all, just the effect of the attack. Search your deck for any 2 cards. So that's perfect because we can grab ourselves a Rare Candy and a Solgaleo optimally for turn 2. That way we can use Soul Burst GX or whatever we need on our next turn. And also, the 40 damage is actually pretty relevant too because if we go against another Solgaleo deck, we won't be able to actually take a 1-hit knockout. And we really don't want to have to discard all of our energy 2 times in order to take a knockout on opposing Solgaleo GX, or even a Decidueye, or whatever else may become popular. So the damage actually definitely matters here as well. Yeah, so Talonflame just a really strong support Pokemon. But like I've been saying, Solgaleo is such a diverse, versatile attacker. You can maybe cut Talonflame and play something totally different. I don't know. This is just our starting point to work from. But I definitely like the idea of Talonflame. It seems to be pretty good. So, yep. From there, that's all of our Pokemon, guys. Like I said, Solgaleo on his own is pretty self-sufficient. Going into the trainer cards, though, we have 4 Professor Sycamore and then 4 N. So we're not playing any Shaman in this list. So we're opting to max out our supporters just to make sure we don't draw dead. So 4 Professor Sycamore, discard your hand, draw 7. 4 N, each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws equal to the amount of prize cards they have left. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar with these cards by now, so we're just sticking to them. 2 Lysandre, so switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, so just to choose what we want to take knockouts on. And the last of the support is going to be 1 Professor Kukui. It's the new Professor from Sun and Moon, and this card has... I think at first a lot of people were disappointed. They were expecting a Sycamore reprint or something like that. But this card is actually pretty decent, even though it isn't a strong draw supporter. So you get to draw 2 cards, which isn't great, but then your Pokemon do 20 more damage for the turn too. And that's really important because, like I was saying, Solgaleo struggles to take 1-hit knockouts on an opposing Solgaleo or another GX with high hit points. So this is a card that will let you do that without having to discard your energy twice. So that's why we're playing that guy. And also just 4 Versus Seeker, just to, oops, not Trainer's Mail, 4 Versus Seeker, just to reuse all these different supports the max amount of times possible. So then we have 3 Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, pick a trainer card there, put it into your hand. So this is good, just helps us dig for what we need, especially if we play a supporter and we don't hit a rare candy or an Ultra Ball, we can Trainer's Mail and hopefully grab what we need. So for Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any Pokemon. So this is good because we can discard Talonflames later in the game, but also just lets us pick anything we want. So Ultra Ball is just always a good search card. So for Rare Candy, this is a Stage 2 deck. We have multiple Stage 2s actually. So we definitely don't want to evolve through traditional means. We definitely want to use Rare Candy and get out our Solgaleos on turn 2 if possible. 2 Weakness Policy. This is going to be kind of a weird card in the list. So the Pokemon it's attached to has no weakness. And why is that? Well, unfortunately, Lunala is weak to Dark and Solgaleo is weak to Fire. And if you keep up with the current competitive scene, those are really bad types to be weak to. At least as of filming right now. Who knows what the game will look like when Sun and Moon comes out. But being weak to Dark and Fire is pretty horrible. Like it's as bad as it gets, I think. So that's why we're opting to play Weakness Policy. It is worth noting there is a new Stadium card coming out. I don't believe in this set, but in probably our next set that will get rid of weakness for Metal and Fire Pokemon. So that might be a consideration over Weakness Policy in the future. But trying this guy out just so Volcanion and Darkrai and Yveltals don't totally destroy our deck. So next up, 2 Max Potion. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon and discard all of the energy attached to them. So this has just always been such a strong card in these energy manipulation decks. So the obvious combo is we can move all of our energy off our attacker with Lunala, use Max Potion to heal all of the damage, and move all of our energy back to our attacker to keep on attacking. And also, even if we don't have our Lunala out yet, Solgaleo will actually discard all of its energy, using its attack anyways, so we can use Max Potion then as well. So Solgaleo is already a beast of a card, as I've been saying, 250 hit points. Not much is going to knock this guy out in one hit, and Max Potion just further compounds that. So let's see. Then 1 Super Rod for some recovery. Shuffle in any 3 basic energy or Pokemon from your discard into your deck. So we do have to discard a good bit of energy to keep attacking with our Solgaleo. And if we discard maybe some pieces of the evolution line with Sycamore early on, we will have a way to get it back. Honestly, this deck discards so much, I would even consider increasing this to 2 or maybe playing a special charge. That definitely seems like a consideration as well. But you do discard a lot of resources in this deck. So some form of recovery is definitely needed, I think. Then for the last of our trainer cards, we're playing 2 Silent Lab. So each Pokemon, or each basic Pokemon play has no abilities. So in this deck, we're not reliant on Shaman, and our only Pokemon with abilities are all evolved Pokemon. And Solgaleo really doesn't get attacking until I'd say the 3rd turn of the game, if everything goes your way, of course. So it is a bit of a slower deck to set up. So hopefully we can play Silent Lab and bring our opponent down to the same speed that we are at. That way they can't play things like Shaman EX. So that's going to be it for our trainer cards. Just going on to the energy, we have 4 Rainbow Energy, 4 Metal Energy, and then 4 Psychic Energy. So we definitely want Metal Energy to be able to use Soul Burst on the 2nd turn. And we need at least 2 metals to attack with Solgaleo. But also, too, I do like the even split of Metal and Psychic just because we might have to attack with Lunala at some point as well. But between the Rainbow Energies and the Metal Energies, you should consistently be able to have a Metal to attach to a Solgaleo for 2nd turn. But I mean, like I was saying, you can search out any energy out of your deck. So you could even play things like Shield Energy if you really wanted to maybe reduce the damage that Solgaleo takes. But and even just one of those could be good because in the mirror match, if they play something like Professor Kukui, they would actually still be short 10 damage of knocking out Solgaleo. So maybe something like Shield Energy is a consideration, but I just opted just for a pretty basic energy count just to start testing with. But yeah, guys, that's going to be our first attempt at a Solgaleo GX deck. Definitely a really fun card. If you guys haven't seen our video that shows this deck in action, like I said, I'll definitely be sure to put a link somewhere in the video for you guys to check that out. But yeah, as usual with these deck profiles, if there's anything you guys would change or think we missed or that you don't like, feel free to let us know in the comments below. Always like to hear your opinion. Yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. As usual, feel free to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to support the channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.